Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Screen check. Yeah. Looks like everything's working correctly here. Good, good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to rest up, get ready for the day ahead, and all that fun stuff. As always, before we jump on the left side of the screen there, make sure to read through the Live Trade Room Morning Prep PDF. Very important to go through and understand everything that is inside there. I just want to take a quick second to give a shout out to our latest member who joined overnight. Thank you so much for the support. I'm pumped to have you on the YouTube fam. Carl House, glad to see you, glad to have you. You get to see that awesome badge next to your name now. Welcome, welcome. If you aren't a member of the SSFTG family or a part of the YouTube family, check out the join button below the stream to gain access before our next private webinar. Get access to the SSFTG Discord chat, not to mention the awesome badge next to your name like we just talked about. That way you can show your support and a boatload of other cool stuff. If you're trying to figure out what it is exactly that we're doing, look no further than the SSFTG Day Trading Academy. It's got about 19 plus hours of material loaded up for you, and the collection continues to grow. Keep in mind that on the YouTube broadcast, it does tend to have about a 3 to I've heard all the way up to 30-second delay. Some days are better, some days are worse. But if you want to level up to the VIP status, you can enjoy the exclusive permanent access to our non-delayed live analysis stream via Zoom Direct Meeting, as well as monthly VIP webinars, private VIP events, one-on-one scheduling access. The list goes on, and that one is also, of course, growing. So whether you're here and totally new, or you're a veteran over on the VIP stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you here with me today. So let's take a look at some news, see some charts, see what's going on for today, kind of take a look at what all is going on, and we can kind of work our way forward from there. Don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. Those are posted for you there. We got all those ready to rock and roll. Get that out of the way. Looking at the news first before we go into too much craziness. Let me get the... Really? Come here. There we go. Looking at the news calendar for today, there is not much. I mean, the only big news that we had for today was earlier this morning at 8:30. That was the initial jobless claims. Came out a lot worse than expected. Not a huge shock, I don't really think. And then a little bit later, Fed Chair Powell speaking at 12. That's it. News calendar's pretty calm and quiet. All right, sorry about that. So starting off on the NASDAQ and kind of kicking things off from there, looking at what all is going on. I mean, obviously, like we were looking at yesterday, that dip on the lows, it procured along to the upside. I think that's safe to say. Man alive, what a screaming move to the highs. Just went raging all the way up to the top towards the 13,750s. Hasn't quite hit that yet. That would be the positive half deviation. I mean, here's the thing, right? We've barely had any pullback. There's just not been any. This whole move up, which makes me really nervous, because when it does decide to pull back, it's going to be one of two things. Another really shallow pullback, which would be great for buyers, or it's going to be a very deep pullback, and it's going to shake a lot of people out. That's that kind of blood in the streets pullback, if you will. It's something to keep in mind here as it's pulling back and kind of hovering just above positive. This thing hasn't stopped going up. Eventually it will pull back. There's a lot of undertow going on. There's a divergence all the way across the top, which obviously would suggest that there's potential, at least, for a pullback nearer than later. But along with that, this thing is just so massively overextended that eventually it's going to have to pull back, but we don't know when that is. So as long as the bulls keep taking it further up, we have to assume to be buyers, and fighting a trend like this it's not worth it. So we'll have to just kind of keep going. Hopefully we get a pullback, I guess. We'll keep hoping for that pullback. Over on the S&P, it's the same thing. We did have a little bit of a blow off top, almost up to 4,100 before pulling back down to retest the top of the channel. This is kind of the do or die point for buyers, because if buyers are going to hold it, they're going to need to hold it here and kick it up for that next move. That could be where we start another trend to the upside. It's going to be really tough for them to hold a trend this late in an already pre-existing trend, but it's a possibility, more likely than anything else, waiting for that deeper pullback here as well. The market keeps going up. So as long as it keeps going up, I got to keep buying on the lows. We don't really have much else of a choice. Certainly can't be a seller, even if it does look overextended. On gold, getting a bit more continuation to the upside. We are continuing up to a new high, and we still haven't seen that L2 pullback. It tried, but now we're breaking above another new high. More continuation. We've got a spiking channel that looked like it might have gotten a little top heavy up here. We had that really nice little wedge formation that failed and broke lower. But now we've got buyers that rotated all the way back up. Now we've got new highs. So, I mean, really, it's just one of those situations where buyers are obviously involved. They're kicking the market very aggressively up, and sellers are now potentially stuck after trying to hold the market down. We know how stuck traders feel if we've been watching the indexes lately. And if we look at this from an overall volume perspective on the lows, the initial drive up first. Oh, that's right. I guess I'll just drag it to the end then. So initially, with this drive to the upside, it appeared as though we had some profit taking. Then it started driving a little bit more aggressively into some possibilities of, hey, maybe this is accumulation. They broke higher, and the concern was that they were going to continue back up. The accumulation sellers have failed. Now we're seeing them break through that area. We see another gigantic chunk of volume, but not enough to take the POC. So it's not growing, right? The market came back. These sellers who were trying to get in here earlier, they got out of break even. It went right back to the volume cluster, right to the top, and then rejected back higher, and now we're rotating up. So shorts who were in, looks like they potentially exited here at even a small potential loss. They weren't really even fed a chance to get out of break even. And a lot of those shorts appear to have, like I said, jumped ship. So buyers are, they're screaming this thing higher. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of an undertow when they're starting to break above it. This is the invalidation of the undertow. This is further suggesting that the trend could grow even more to the upside, right? So it's adding even more to the potential reversal of this gold move off the lows. Plus, gold underneath 1,700. Come on. Long-term potential here is insane. But the short term on the 15-minute, we're starting to see crude oil. Man, I don't even know what I want to do with crude. Nothing is what I want to do with crude. I don't want to do anything with crude. This thing's a mess. We'll have to wait until it decides what it wants to do here, because it doesn't know. I don't know. Whatever. I'll just leave it to the sideline. Over on the euro, was looking like we were seeing some resistance up at the top. We had that attempted measured move up. Remember that impulse leg? Followed up with another impulse leg. They blew off the top, looked like it was failing back down, especially with that, but then never made the new low. That's the problem right there. They failed to make a new low. Now it rotated back up. It's not to say that the sellers aren't going to take it back down again, because, this is that's a pretty strong high candle move there. But this isn't great, especially with that miss down there. A lot of shorts are probably stuck. That first pullback is going to be pretty interesting. If you look at the overall cycling on the euro, we reversed off the L5, came back to an L3, almost 4, and then went just ripping higher. L1, 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 still in the L1. You can see what they're doing. Look at the support that's coming in the L1. We've got everything is lining up here. Although I would love an L2. It doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Bitcoin raging back to the upside. We had the earlier stuck shorts. Well, they got out at the broken L1 almost to the tick, if not to the tick. And now it's fairly obvious what's happening here. We're raging back to the upside again. This dip is nothing more than buyers accumulating on these pullbacks. We already know what's going on in the bigger picture. On the 15-minute chart, it's still a bear trend, right? It's still the same problem, although we are getting plenty of clues that the sellers are giving up. We also had plenty of clues that the sellers were giving up here. We have to stay objective. The market's still going down. So until we see a shift in that, I can't very well become a high probability bull yet. Right now, it's low probability, meaning you're buying down here with stops or points of break down here at the lows, but your reward, you can't be going for small little piddly 1/2 to 1, 1 to 1. That's not good enough here. The probability is not high enough. You got to be looking for 2 to 1s, big moves all the way back up. And a lot of traders are really eyeballing that 60K mark again. We'll see if they can make it. Ethereum also breaking back above 2,000. This one's just about as obvious as you could ever ask for. Talk about failure city, right? Sellers try coming down, fail. Try coming down, fail. Try coming down, fail. One thing that this could really, really use. Yeah, let's rip my headset out. One thing that this could really, really use, and I think a lot of buyers would be all over it, would be a quick little trap dip. Get a dip underneath these previous swings, dip back into the 1980s, get a quick little flush back underneath 2000, scare the crap out of people, let them dump their Ethereum over into Goldman or Coinbase now that they're going IPO, or PayPal now that they're going to have to own Ethereum if they're going to be using stable coins, and all of these other companies that are going to need to have Ethereum. Well, I'm not seeing this go much further lower other than quick little washouts just like we had over here. So these flushes are nothing more than accumulation BTFDs, in my opinion, as long as we still hold high on the continued move, at least in the bigger picture. Speaking of, on the bigger picture, looking at the NASDAQ, we're getting closer. All-time highs are not too far away anymore. We don't have very far to go. 13,850s. I mean, we're in the 714s. 100 points for the NASDAQ? That's nothing. That's easy for the NASDAQ to cover. So there's obviously... I mean, this is the thing that really kind of concerns me, because we're already starting to see signs of it. It's the same crap that happened back here, right? Where we've got these dips and it starts really screaming higher. We get a lot of really good volatility. Excuse me. And then nothing. Big move. Nothing. I mean, generally it's got something going on, but those types of market environments are awful. Those are not fun. So that is definitely a concern of going into today and going into the next few days, seeing this continuation of the upside. I don't want to see this start washing up in terms of volatility, but as we get closer and closer to the all-time highs, that's probably what's going to happen. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but... Hang on one second. Caffeine check. Gotta get the caffeine rolling, you know? Okay. Anyway. Now that I've fed my addiction just a little more. Looking at the 60-minute chart, we've got, I mean, geez, this thing just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. As far as the overall movement goes, I think we're kind of stuck. Given that we don't really have any long-term structure going on, we're going to be a lot better off looking at the short-term macro structure or micro structure more than anything else. Because what we're dealing with right now are these really short-term phases that, yes, are making up a larger term one. But, I mean, they're creating an extremely overextended move up where there's not a whole lot of pullback. You kind of get the idea. It's a little bit up here. So just be cautious. Hey, well, good to see you. Starting over with 5. Nice. You know the drill. Make sure your psychology's in check today. I'm here if you got any questions or need anything. We've got, as far as the overall, I mean, the micro phasing that we've got going on, obviously, if we look at the micro structure, we have an insane amount of bullish movement to the upside, where it's these candle gap, candle gap, candle gap. We're starting to fill in some of those. This one's still open, but you know, now that we're getting back up to the highs, it's running out of steam a little bit. So now with the pullback, well, you can kind of see what's happening here. We're not really pulling back. We're not really going sideways. It's the same thing that happened over here. When we go into the open, that will be the much bigger zone of interest, especially if we can get a flush back towards settlement around 617 or so. That's going to be the bigger zone of interest because, again, we got to try to buy on the dip. This buying on the highs, it works at the end of the day. If you're buying in the European session, sure. But us here in the U.S. session, we've got to deal with all this sloppy nastiness. Well, it is what it is. See if we can get a little bit of a dip to the downside this morning underneath these lows. Keep in mind, we did have a pretty drastic failure above the highs. So from the shorter perspective, just looking at the volume today, the initial drive up, if we zoom in, we can see distribution initially. So we've got some profit taking on the rally higher. Then we start kicking up a notch a little bit here. A slight accumulation phase, maybe. But remember, accumulation phases at their best show up in threes. You can see what they're trying to build right now. They're trying to build that third one. So if we see continuation on that third and the POC shifts to the upside and price stays below it, that's a very clear indication that we're probably putting in a short-term top for the morning, and that's going to be that vindictive BS pullback that we always get on the NASDAQ at the open. You know how it goes, just like yesterday, just like every other vindictive day on the NASDAQ. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, if we draw this a little further forward, we can see all of a sudden the story becomes significantly cleaner. It's a lot more obvious. We've got a huge amount of volume that's building inside here, and price is trying to stay above 712, which is the current POC. If it starts cracking below 712, then we run into some problems. So this is the balance point here. It's very obvious they're in a range. Jeez, I'm not even going to look for the... Eventually this thing's going to pull back. I don't know when. Maybe today because I'm not looking for it, right? The one day that I'm not going to be looking for the pullback is the day where it doesn't. That's how it always goes. Anyway, here on the 15-minute, on the most recent rally to the upside, we can see an even cleaner picture of what's going on. Huge accumulation into that distribution phase, and now we're building that. But remember, POC's down here. We're breaking above. This is their shot. They've got to get it to go back lower. For like the 7th day in a row now. Just pull back. So far, on the Asian session, they did expand to the upside with no pressure on the lows. That led to a full double up on the Asian session before it even went into Euro. So a full double up move in the Asian session leading into a bit of a stall. Could just be the Euro session buyers trying to accumulate the lows, buy the pullback, buy the dip, etc. The US session will probably be doing or looking to do about the same thing. And that would very easily explain why from the Euro session so far it's done nothing. If we look back at what happened yesterday, it was very, very similar. We started off the day, didn't really do a whole lot, chopped around, had that aggressive wipe, and then we got stuck in the Euro session for the rest of the morning until the very end. Where it finally decided where it wanted to go. Maybe we see the same thing today. Ugh, I hope not. As far as the deviated movement, they did have a... They didn't even make it a full one. They went 75-80% of the way on the top side. And not even through an L1 on the bottom. Super range bound so far in the faster. Look at the 5-minute chart in the S&P. It's just... That's a barbed wire fence if you've ever seen one. Looking on the crypto side of things with this nice little bounce back that we've got going on. A few of them that do stand out, and a couple of them that we had talked about before, which I have to open Trading View back up. There we go. So the one big one that I've been really, really much more interested than a lot of the others, aside from ones that we've already talked about before, of course, is Uni, right? Uniswap dipping back to that major volume node, seeing it kick off of that volume node. These are incredible indications of what's going on here. Now, if we bring this forward just a little bit and see if anything has changed, nothing's changed. We did draw, obviously, a little bit more volume up on the highs, but this is still accumulation phase volume. It's building on the way down. So as long as Uni's staying above the POC and we're seeing that bounce support, this looks really, really good for a continuation back up. I love how Uniswap looks. That one's definitely got my attention. Plus, Ripple over $1? What? That's scary. I do not like Ripple. And over $1. I heard they won a big thing in the U.S., didn't they? I try not to follow Ripple too much. I do not like Ripple. What the crap? Thank you, YouTube. Appreciate it. Drop that out of the way. Some of the others, though, Litecoin looks really, really nice for a potential pump back to the upside. 3 very obvious failures on the low, looking for a rotation up. Similar patterning on Ethereum. We also have Link, which... Link, honestly, I absolutely love how vindictive that trap on the bottom was. Fantastic bull bar on the lows. Gets everybody on the planet suckered into a long. Stops underneath the low, right? Bing! It's right back off it again. Oy, I love it. Link looks pretty good for a continuation of the upside. Tezos, not as pumped about that one. Lumens has upside resistance in the way. Bcash, Bcash has all of the wicks, massive support at 614s. They had that huge support response off 500 with that volume node. Looks fantastic. What about Neo? Let's see here. Let's take a look at Neo. How much time do we got? Oh, we still got time. Neo. There we go. All right. So first off, looking at a 4-hour perspective, I got to start over a little bit here. This is obviously broken away from where we were looking at Neo the last time around. Or, no, this is Nexo. What the crap? Neo. I don't care. Binance? Sure. Whatever. I was going to say, there's no way Neo's $2. I'm missing something. Or there's an exchange that I need to find really quick. Anyway, Neo. Now we got the right one. So Neo is obviously seeing incredible, explosive growth to the upside, which it should be. Neo's a fantastic platform. It has been. We've been pumping and talking, well, we've been talking about Neo for years now. It's something that has and will have a very dear spot in my heart, if you will. Maybe not up in the $60 mark. But, you know, it's definitely interesting. I still like the platform. I like what they're bringing to the table. I just, you know, again, I'm a value buyer when I'm talking about like HODL and buying on the pullbacks. It just isn't it. I like the continuation and the aggressive kind of stacking that's happening here looks good for a potential break. But my concern is this major twin reversal on the 4-hour. If they don't get back above here, you can see the problem. They're breaking down, holding it as resistance. That causes the spark lower. So, I mean, really, really need to see them show up to the party. VIAC. I'm assuming if you're throwing a stock at me, you're looking pre-market. Maybe not, though. Because there's nothing happening in the pre-market. From a crypto play, I mean, that... I mean, maybe. It's tough, right? I mean, when you're looking at something that looks like this, there's not really a big part of me that wants to that really wants to jump in on something like that. You know what I mean? Hang on, let me get back to my my first workspace here. As we go into the open, we got 2 minutes. So, I mean, yes, there is a, you know, kind of lotto ticket, throw some money in the well, see if it bounces back up. I mean, it's not like it's a small name or anything, but there's obviously some things going on here. If you're looking at like Riot as an example, Riot has a fantastic wedge. But my concern is that this is a potential for a 3 lower high drive, and those types of failures are non-remorseful. They rip your face off. So it's got to show up to the party sooner than later, or this gets nasty. Open in 1 minute. I would love to see an open dip. Way up here, it's tough way up here. So far, the NASDAQ is supporting volume above 712. Keep an eye on that 60-minute POC up there. Well, right around the corner here. Let's see if the open wants to kind of fluctuate things around a little bit, get things bumping. If it jumps higher, it could be a sucker's move. Get everyone trapped at the high thinking it's going to go ripping higher, but who wants to short this, you know? So maybe it doesn't end up being a sucker's move. Blue pill or red pill? Rising support's going to be the first zone of interest for buyers to pick up that any type of structural area of interest. It is failing back through the bottom of the European session highs. Could just be the open volatility as well. This rising support's going to be the big kind of tell. See what it wants to do. S&P rotating down. They're digging down into all of those wicks. And look at that bottom short, this big bear bar here. A lot of sellers will have been stuck at 80 quarter trying to, looking for a continuation down, and they did not get it. They've come one tick from break even so far. So I don't mind trying to play off of their break even fears a little bit at 80 quarter, but we are dealing with the open, and we know how the open likes to play ball sometimes. We're not even past the first 2 minutes. Very nice continued bullish bar back to the upside. Obviously, the concern is that buyers are buying very high. I'm not going to sell it. So, see if the S&P wants to come back down towards those 80 quarters. Still has 3 minutes left, so there's plenty of time. NASDAQ's trying to break above the top of the wedge. First 5 minute volume, at least so far. POC's all the way at the bottom. What a shock. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. It's like, yeah, just buy the dip. Okay. Still 2.5 minutes. That can change. S&P, I do not want it to go above this bull bar's high. If it goes above the bull bar's high and then comes back down, that's a bear engulfing. That's no bueno. This still has 2 minutes. Still plenty of time. Even if it goes all the way back down again for it to bounce higher. We're dealing with open volatility right now. But if it goes above the high of 84, then we've got some problems. Now, if we start getting down to like a minute left, my opinion will change very quickly. It's running out of time. NASDAQ trying to break above the highs. First volume on the S&P. $82.75. so far. Down to a minute left. I lose interest on the S&P. No thanks. The crude oil is starting to look like bonds. What happened? Ethereum and Bitcoin continue to hit the gas pedal to the downside. They are screaming. 57.5 now on Bitcoin, Ethereum up to 2034. POC on the S&P still at 82.75, 10 seconds left. The NASDAQ has now shifted its POC volume up, 735. Right at the end of the candle, too. Now POC is at the top? That's a huge problem. This is where shorts start coming in. This is where, now again, we're talking on the futures at all-time highs, or near all-time highs at least, where the NASDAQ just keeps going up. But that's going to scare the crap out of a lot of buyers at the open. Just from yesterday. I mean, look what happened yesterday. Maybe that's what they need to break out through the highs and keep this trend going, to get everybody out of the way. Either way, S&Ps dive into the downside. We're back down into these lows. Now, as far as the S&P is concerned, this is going to be a fairly large area of interest down here. The last time they hit the lows, it was 80 down to 78.75. So they went a point and a quarter. So 78.50, 77.50. Lord knows I'm not going to get filled anywhere near that. So 77.75 would be one tick ahead of an equidistant breakdown. And given how range bounded this is, if it does go lower, it's very likely to find a bounce somewhere inside of there for scalpers regardless. Still dealing with open volume, but we are past the first 5 at least. Most people wait for the first 15, so just kind of keep that in mind. I can't believe that 5-minute POC shift to the upside. If the bulls can't get this to break the top, that could cause some big problems. There they go. NASDAQ challenging the highs. S&P couldn't quite get the breakdown. They made, what, a double bottom? Yeah. Not to say they can't go a little bit lower still. There's still, a little under 3 minutes left, but NASDAQ is now sitting in the trifecta. We've got a 3 press top with 1. I'll just do it this way. We've got 1, 2, and potentially 3, obviously very early. If it starts reversing down right this second, then it would be a clear undertow the whole way across, and then you've got potential for a whack D to the downside. Could get very interesting here. Again, I don't really want to be short. I would much rather wait for a dip and then be a buyer. It's like yesterday. Little lower high double top inside here. NASDAQ sellers trying to get this to go back lower, but I mean, just looking at from the beginning of the day, there's just not anything that's happened. Let's get that over there. Got an L4 off the lows, which is attempting to rotate higher but barely broke above the top. And now it's back below volume again. I mean, there's some pretty obvious problems here. Gold continuing its rally to the upside. All right, NASDAQ. Zone of interest for buyers on the scalp side is going to be back down sub 25. That's where earlier shorts were getting in and potentially feeling like they might be a little bit trapped if it comes back down to that area. It's just ahead of the Euro session highs, but it does line up really nicely with rising support. S&P closes above the swing low. NASDAQ attempting to get back above the first 5 volume at 735. Keep in mind, this is a top-weighted POC at 735, so the fact that it shifted up, if it starts breaking higher, that's more shorts that are going to be in the squeezer. Beautiful little push down into that support zone. Scalpers will be looking for the initial bounce back up. I was only able to get 2. They came back to break even. They're holding there. I wanted a much more aggressive bounce than that. It's at the open, so now that I'm out, it'll probably go higher, but got the initial scalp off and hovering around break even. I'm not going to play games with it. We've got more continuation, so if they want to dip back into that zone, that would be a secondary retest. Not a huge fan of that bear bar, so I would really like to see the bulls ramp this back up again. There we go. Good continuation. Very nice bull bar. They got above the bull bar, so that will have triggered bulls in. Don't be surprised. It's at the open. NASDAQ. They love coming back to break even and get those little traps and garbage. If it is going to be a trap, it should immediately bounce right back up like it did. Beautiful. Out. Nice pop right back up to the 735 volume node. S&P, 77.75, 78.75 would be the first objective. Much more on the scalp side for the S&P. But looking for the equidistant breakout below the previous major swing low and an uptrend. Kind of hard to not like something like that. Tested the secondary point, but didn't get a fill. Really? Still no fill. All right. 77.75 from the scalper's perspective now. $75.75 is the next major zone of interest, and we're starting to dip back to the Euro session highs. We haven't had that physical test yet. NASDAQ's very close. Objective is 77.50, and then a return back up to 79 if it wants to continue, so 78.75. S&P has settlement just a little further down, so seeing a little extra oomph to the downside to fill settlement wouldn't be a surprise. But if it happens on a really quick blast, it'll probably bounce up pretty fast too. Sellers aren't proving anything down here. $76.75 is seeing a very aggressive response. I'll leave that last portion, and then we'll see if we can get this last little bit to go. There we go. 78.75 is the objective. A little more. Tested. Tested. There. Nice. Very nice continuation pop back to the upside. Dinking around with the inside there a little bit, though, on the S&P. Herky-jerky at the open. Crude oil breaking down just a little. NASDAQ back up to volume again at 735. Looks like they wanted the Euro session highs instead. It could be a dip back to VWAP, too. Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of different things on the NASDAQ. Either way, it's a short-term pullback, and that's what buyers want. That's a lot of bearishness off that top volume, though. And the 60-minute POC just shifted. Can the buyers take it further? That's a secondary sell pressure response off of that volume node at 735. Again, it's really tough to want to short the NASDAQ or do anything on the short side right now. But sellers will try to take that. Much more interesting zone of interest. I promise it's really interesting. Down here in the 702s. Massive flush. Very curious to see what the volume is on this move down. Building volume on the way down. Oh, what a shock. 3 press wedge low. Looks like it's kind of stopping it at the moment. I would prefer to see it go a little bit further, though. I want that trap underneath the low. Earlier entry defense would be at 93.25-ish. Buyers will likely try to bounce it early around the 707s or so, but I would really like to see it go through. So here's the 707 to the tick. Really? All right. See if they can go back down again, though. A little more. Give me that overdrive through the lows. We've got 700s down there. Oh, that's a really big bull bar. Oofta. What show is that from? Oh, Bobby's World. Man, do you remember throwing myself backward a little bit here, but there's a throwback. See if you can get a little bit of a dip down in through the 700s again. That's the big zone of interest, but there's a lot of volume building here. Whoa, look at the volume shift. 13,710s, big volume shift. If bulls stay above this, that's a clean sign that buyers are trying to shift this back up. See, now the market's pulling back to it and it's acting as support. Now it's back through it again. This is going to be the fight point. Watch these 710s. There's a distinct accumulation going on, but buyers haven't won the fight yet. They're really trying. Ooh, now it's coming in as little resistance. They might be mitigating at break-evens. Did you see it come in now that it closed underneath it, pop back up? They're above it now. This 710 is a very interesting point, and you can see the algos just going all over the place around it. Big volume still built around the 710s. Looks like the sellers lost their grip. 710s on the next return. We'll likely try to find buyers into that, but ooh, chopped right through it. Shifting the POC down again, 708.75. Price is still staying under it, though. Back above. Oh, back below. Uh-oh. Back above. Man, look at the fight. 708.75. This thing is just punching each other in the jaw. Ooh, bulls are winning. Nice strong close. They got to keep it up, though. Continuation of the Euro session highs. So now the initial response is going to be off that break-even cluster around 708.75. It was a double top. There they go. They broke above the swings. Ooh, everybody's just getting pile driven out. Shorts are screaming right now like, no! Please, no! Dip back zone of interest now is going to be Euro session highs. That's the latest VVP of stuck shorts. More stuck shorts hanging around the 24 quarters or so. Just don't hit 735 yet. Or if you do, go through it. Okay. Okay, well, that makes it a lot harder to want to be a buyer when you plot a candle that looks like that. We know shorts are stuck, but now it makes more sense to look for a deeper pullback than being so aggressive. So a deeper pullback back to like the 24s, maybe even back to Euro session highs 20s makes a bit more sense. Nice job. Oof. That's a potential problem-causing bear bar here. If they can over-flush down, I'd rather see if they can drive down to the Euro session low, but technically like the 24s, that area of support, I'm not going to be the first to the party, though. That is a metric ton of volume that they put in there at 33 quarter. 31. See, this is sellers stepping up. POC shifting down, POC shifting up. It's always staying above the market. I'm gonna look for a little bit lower. It still seems like selling volume's trying to pressure it down. S&P coming to retest the entry point of the first 5-minute sellers on the short side. That'd be at 80 quarter. Trying to stay above volume. Now they're starting to break back above the first 5-minute volume. That's a big clue. You have 40 seconds, though. This 5-minute candle is going to tell a big story. A really strong bull bar. I mean, you can see the reversal happening. Call options are going to go crazy. All-time highs? I tell you what, from a fund perspective, if I wanted to accumulate a lot of volume, what better thing to do than to get a really, really massively strong-looking bull bar, get everyone to buy above it, and then just dumpster my positions into those longs to buy at a lower price while they're getting stopped out. Not to sound masochistic or anything, you know. I've got to assume there are some pretty heavy bags on the way up here, though. And longs who are still in this from the bottom are going to want to start lightening up a little bit if it pulls back too far. Volume once again coming in off of the 735 5-minute, failed immediately back through. Now remember, from a short side on the swing perspective, and this is a swing perspective, like options, etc., shorts will be looking for shorts in here, as long as we're staying below the 735 volume. Because the risk is really small, right? I mean, if it breaks above the highs, you're wrong. But the reward is for this thing to roll all the way back down and reclaim some of these big moves. So, a lot of traders will take it just because of the risk-reward factor. Doesn't mean it's good. Couldn't quite get the trap underneath the lows. That looks like it was about another, what, L4, L5? Yep, L4. Looks like I go with only one. Yeah, sometimes it happens, you know. Doesn't matter how many times you hit the button. The market will give you whatever it gives you. But hey, you know, you'd rather be in wishing you were in more than, you know, in wishing you were out, I guess. We'll take the optimist side of things. Back up to the highs, really strong continuation, still driving the market aggressively higher. The crude oil market just bounced right back up off the lows. Gold continuing to climb up. Now we are at a positive 1 DP. Bitcoin having a little bit of trouble around 57,600. Ethereum a little trouble around the previous major swing at 2035. All right. Sorry, my son had to show me his new tooth coming in. We're gonna need braces. Start saving now. NQ 13765. I needed braces really badly. I had a tooth that was like way up. Yeah, definitely. I don't know, is that run in the family? Like, is that a genetic thing? I don't know. I would assume so. $10 top of the hour. 5-minute bar, big bull bar on the S&P plotting above. 49.75 buyers will be looking to continue this movement to the upside and keep this train going. 49.75, there's a lot of volatility inside here, so be very careful. Oh wait, I'm looking at the NASDAQ. I thought this was my S&P chart. I'm like, why is this thing moving so much? Where'd this volatility come from? Well, that's why I went 1 point back. I thought that was the S&P. All right. Well, I still like this dip, obviously, but I was looking for more on the scalp side of things, so I'm not looking for a big target. I thought that was the S&P. Yeah. Was it Monday? Did I miss something? Well, I got one of the scalper targets. There we go. I was going to say, I didn't get the second one filled. Scalps out. That was my fault. I thought I was on the S&P. I didn't even look at the price. I just saw the candle and I wanted to buy it. We've got a really nice continuation to the upside on the S&P. Let's see if we can get a dip back here. Try that again. Round 2. $81 up to $82. The NASDAQ does seem like it might be looking for a bit more on the pullback here, more towards like the moving average cluster, but forming a very tight little consolidation here. S&P opens up a little bit more. Let's see, 80 half to 81 would be 1 point on 2. I think that jumped up and hit the target. Didn't fill it, though. There they go. Jeez. Well, there is still quite a bit of volatility on the S&P, but that's what I was looking to do when I initially jumped in, but it was the NASDAQ. That was, that was my bad. One second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. S&P pulling back a little bit further. I wouldn't half mind 78.50, one below that previous bull bar. See if they can get a secondary scalpers dip underneath the bottom. We've only got 40 seconds left, though. That sucks. I can't. Not with that little time left. That could potentially end up closing as an incredibly strong bear bar that I do not want to be buying into. I've got to skip that one. There's not enough time on the candle. See if we can get a little bit more of a pullback then. NASDAQ almost looks like a picture-perfect two-legged move higher. Yeah. All right. So sellers have a really nice bear bar. Their entry point would be 78.25. I think they've got enough juice to get down probably 2 points. So I'm going to look at 76.25 with the assumption that sellers will have enough to take it down for that much. So 76.25 back up would be to 77.25. Or not. Okay. Try again. Is there news now? Things are getting crazy. 10 o'clock, top of the hour. I mean, typically always has a bit of volatility. Honestly, whether there is news or not, it tends to go a little bit weird. The news that we have today, I thought, hang on one second, is a little bit later at 12. That's with Powell testifying. So, natural gas news at 10:30. There's nothing at 10 though. NQ back to VWAP. Round 2. Tested 76.25. Didn't get a fill. I need to see them actually go through it because that would confirm that the shorts who shorted that bear bar had their 2-point target filled. Okay. The way the NASDAQ looks, it just looks like it's so juicy just to get a quick little trap underneath the lows. I thought that was going to happen last time, so... Kind of looking at this this last move down like a 3-press wedge bottom if they get that nice drive. Couple more ticks to go on the S&P. Tested, but no fill. Man, if the NASDAQ can't follow that bear bar down, that's a huge problem. Like, what happened to the sellers? They plot such a big old bear bar and now they're gone? Maybe they're just trying to get a couple more bulls trapped before a slide lower. Nice little stall here. Looks like a possible twin reversal before a breakdown for shorts. On the NASDAQ, I have a really hard time taking a short. The nice thing is I'm long on the S&P, so a short's a little bit easier because I'm naturally kind of hedged. S&P scalpers objective a little bit further up, 76.25. Alternately, the target could be a little bit further up, but the reason I'm utilizing such a smaller target is due to the probability. We faded back underneath the European session highs. I need to see it get back above, and I'm not going to be the one to try to fight it. Just a scalping. Got about, well, I mean, we're already past 10 o'clock. There's not much else going on. If the NASDAQ gives that nice little slide down through the 700s, though, the bottom of that wedge, that starts getting really interesting. And the longer it takes, almost the better. Because then we've got the bottom of the European session low, which kind of lines up too. Although these bull bars back to the upside are not helping shorts right now. A strong bull bar here will get buyers in. I'm having incredible computer... Oof, yikes, that sucks. Trade room, and I don't hear anything. I imagine you're talking. Yes, I am talking. Well, I don't have time to respond to that right now. Hold on. Very nice area of interest on this dip lower. Big overflush, huge zone of interest. Initially for the kickback up on the scalp side of things, but also for a potential longer-term low. Fantastic drive. See if they can kick this thing further. Got to get back above that previous inside swing low. Little doji. Bear bar back down underneath the doji's low. Let's see how the bulls respond to that when it gets back up to the top of this bull bar. Immediately went back lower. So buyers either have to buy this inside dip and kick it higher, or they're probably going to start giving up. Although this is a fantastic zone of interest down here on the lows. Got to see the bulls respond. They slid underneath, fine, NASDAQ, you got your trap or whatever you need to do, but now you got to go back up. Nope, I'm out. They're not going. I'm buying a bull market, but oh, hang on a second. I gotta respond to this question too. We're just early. That's all. That's why it's so choppy. Oh. I waited too long to respond. Well, sorry. Definite potential for an avalanche wedge to the downside. Typically with those, you'll see a break above the highs, pull back, higher low. Somewhere like an L4, L5. Man, I got all right at the bottom. Rotten peckers. All right. S&P does fill settlement, so job done. We have some candle gapping to the downside on the most recent bear leg that has projected targets down just a little bit further. So assuming that we do have a very strong bull trend, and I have no reason to disbelieve the bulls, I like seeing a completion of that objective for the shorts, so long as they don't break above the high of this bear bar. And that would be where buyers are going to be looking to come back in. Come on, NASDAQ, man. I get it. I get it. All right, salt in the wound, I know. It's all good. It's been all right today. It's just don't look at that. Oof. We are getting a little bit later in the morning though, so feel free to get those questions in. We'll get those covered for you. Apparently, I need to get some food too. Jeez. Bulls trying to kick this back up. If this is going to be a quick flush and then a reversal all the way back to the high a day, we're not going to see very many bear bars in here until probably around 7:35. So chances are buyers are just going to keep on buying on every little micro pullback they can get, just because it's not anticipated to go super far up. Testing the top of this bear leg down, that'll usually give a little bit of an area of interest, maybe enough to dip below the previous bull bar. Maybe. Scalpers will be hanging out there looking for a continuation move. Buyers trying to pick up the dip on that low below that previous push below the bull bar. All right, we're back to the point of interest where I want to see bulls continue this back up, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time here. Obviously, the retest of the wedge would be incredible, but I'm going to reduce size a little bit here and eat some of the loss and try to draw my average down a bit further. I still like the long down here, but I can't sustain, well, I don't want to sustain all the way through that low. Not unless we get a better candle move. Now, a really strong bull bar? That would be a lot of help. Starting to test the top of that kind of the top of that structural wedge down here. Honestly, it feels like they want to pop the low real quick because that would get the most stops. We know how the NASDAQ operates. So I'm reluctant to add too much more until we get more info. The intent is obvious. I'm looking for it to rally back up to volume at 735. Nice bear bar back down. Shorts will take that. Finally made it into the room and I can hear. Hey! Okay, good. Oh, I didn't mean to hit the close button. All right, well, maybe they'll give me a better price down here anyway. That'll give me a better average, that's for sure. Very nice bull bar back up. I kind of wanted to be in a few more contracts right now. I didn't mean to hit the close hotkey. But I didn't get that one down there. The next portion that buyers have to fight through, because again, it is early, is through this falling resistance. Gapping and closing back above. If they can break above this inside swing, that's the rest of the stops. First objective off. Nice. Ooh, good night. They got to pressure this Euro session highs. The shorts are getting squeezed. Can they get it? It came close. They got to pop the top. There it is. Got it. Go, 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 go. Oof. Oh, okay. Well, taken out. It came one tick away, and I was like, no way. Am I actually going to get lucky this time? Nah. Now it's gone. All right, well, I got the bounce back up. I botched my my entry, though. I hit close on accident. I've got a shortcut command as like an emergency exit to just get out of everything. And I actually hit that. Luckily, it was only with the 3, but it bottom weight. I got filled at the low tick, of course. And, well, I had to re-enter. I wanted to be in more. Unfortunately for me, though, I fat-fingered the crap out of it. Oh, well. Very nice continuation back to the upside. S&P didn't get it, and on the mess up there, I'm gonna call it quits. Fantastic trail. I'm not gonna put any more risk on the table. No thanks. The objective is back to the highs, or at least back to that 735 volume like we were talking about. For shorts, they'll be selling above these highs. We've got an inside swing. We've got the Euro session highs. They're trying to pressure back from this avalanche in hopes that it doesn't succeed. This higher low is going to make that a lot harder, but that's what their goal is. Keep in mind, avalanche wedges, if they do actually come to fruition, which is, You know, it doesn't happen super often, but when you get that big drive to the downside like that, and you have the avalanche wedge lower, you get the break, the higher low, and they get it to continue. Those are the ones that can really start massive legs. This thing's already gone way up through the stratosphere, so context is everything here. But tell you what, though, that 15-minute chart doesn't give me the warm fuzzies. 735 is a big brick wall, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Nice little flag kind of formation going on here. NASDAQ buyers will be looking for leg number 2 to the upside, and any shorts who didn't get break evens or didn't take the loss, they're not going to be holding when it starts breaking above these highs again. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so that's going to do it. Overall, it was okay. A couple, I definitely messed up a few things on my side of things, but aside from just being human, it was okay. Not too bad. Hopefully everyone else had a fairly decent day today. The volatility is still kind of funky, but, well, we're going into Thursday. You know, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's going to do it. If I miss any questions, I think I got them all, but feel free to shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. I'll get those covered for you. Otherwise, enjoy, rest up, and we will see you all tomorrow morning, all right? We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. What classes do I have? What do you mean? Sorry, I just happened to see that right when I was going to hit the end stream button, so I'll do that as the last question. I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. I thought the way that it was worded was like, oh, what classes are you, what classes are you going to? Like, I thought I said something weird or okay, I gotcha. So as far as the availability and everything that, first off, it's all right on the main page of SSFTG if you're looking for more of that, but the one that, in terms of like what classes are available, the big one is the Day Trading Academy. I've weaned it down so that there's only 2. I don't like doing the monthly payments and stuff for live trade rooms. If you're a VIP, you get the non-delayed Zoom link and it's over with, right? It's just way easier. But if you want more info, you can click Learn More, Gain Access, and that will give you, it's like a 4 or 5 minute video that goes over everything inside of there, but it's 19 plus hours of course material just inside the DTA, the Day Trading Academy, let alone everything else. Actually, let me, just in case that shows something that I don't want it to. Okay, it doesn't. So in here, I mean, you've got the Jumpstart course, which is something separate. You've got the DTA, which is Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and then all the way at the bottom, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you've got the Deep Dive, which is a ludicrous amount of hours of time in market psychology and price action. So they're a little older, but it's all the same stuff, you know. So I didn't want to get rid of them. And then as far as YouTube, I mean, you're already a member on YouTube, so you already know what's offered there. But oof. Oh yeah, for sure. It's all good. This one works, or the other one, or I mean, you've got Discord chat. You've got a few at your disposal. So, but anyway, that's gonna do it. Like I said, if I missed any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll get them covered from there. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of the day. Rest up, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.